Hi, Ritwik. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how are you doing?
Fine, sir.
Hey, Ritwik. So, it is a technical round. By the way, this is Vivek again. We had a meeting regarding your profile, and it seems promising, and we'd like to take your candidature further.
Uh,
Okay. Right. So, as I have already noticed that you have a notice period of 2 months, right? Which is negotiable to up to 1.5 months.
yes.
Okay. Okay. And you are currently working with which
K
organization?
KMGRT Services Gurgaon.
KFGRT. Okay. Awesome.
KMG. K for Kanpur and for
KM.
Mumbai, G for Goa.
Okay. Okay. KMG. Okay. Awesome. Hold on. I'm just opening your resume here. Okay. So, you have 7 years of experience?
No, no. AWS experience and cloud experience is 2 years. The rest of it is in
Uh,
IT infrastructure and
okay.
networking.
Okay. Okay. 4.5 years somewhere around you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, you have mentioned that you have experience on AWS, Python, Hadoop, and data warehousing.
No, no, no.
That's correct.
I don't have experience in Python and Hadoop.
I'm reading. Hold on.
Uh,
Okay.
it
I
should
think
be
I
Ritvik, RITWIK.
yeah. I just opened someone else's review. It was Rakshit that I opened.
Ritvik.
Ritvik. Oh, I see that now. Awesome. Oh, okay. Okay, you are working with KMG IT Services as an AWS and cloud engineer. All right. Okay. I'm more focused on the skills part here. I see you have worked on the Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes as basics you mentioned, and Splunk, Prometheus, Grafana, scripting as well. You have mentioned shell scripting. Any work done on Python, or are you learning on
No,
Python?
not till now. So after I switch my company, I will learn Python.
Oh, really? Okay. And how about Terraform?
Terraform,
Terraform.
I have a basic experience.
You have a basic experience. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, Ritvik, let's just take 5-10 minutes. Go in detail what you do in your current profile. Tell me what kind of work you get, how you get, what is your participation in doing that work, and what are your core expertise.
So right now I am working with KMG IT Services Gurgaon. So I have 2 years experience in cloud and DevOps. So 50% of that includes IT infrastructure, in which my task is to handle servers, firewall, and all the end users, and 50% of that includes cloud. So whatever the client requirements are for in cloud for the production environment, my task is
Mhm.
to create those resources and hand over to them. And if there are any glitches or shortcomings, so discuss with them via call or any meeting. And apart from that, since it's a software development company, so we have a little bit of DevOps part also, so in which
Mhm.
my task is to use certain tools like Jenkins, Docker, etc. And if I talk about Kubernetes, so my task is to basically install and create the environment, and the rest clustering is done by the senior engineers. So
Mhm.
this is the overview of my profile.
So when you say I'm sorry to again highlight that point. I was talking like you have to go in detail about your day-to-day work. Anyway, I'll ask the questions that I want. So you said you have 2 years of DevOps experience. So when you say DevOps experience, what DevOps tools and techniques that you are doing or learning or you have done or you're doing in your current project?
So if I talk about I have worked on Docker and Kubernetes. So these kind of tools I have used.
Okay,
And in
when you say Docker and Kubernetes, I want to listen. Like I want to hear what you are doing in Docker. What is your task? What How do you get a task, and what do you do when you get a task?
So since it's a software development company, so my task is to create those Docker files and create the containerization part. And if I talk about Kubernetes, so there are some applications which are very high level and complex. For that, we have used Kubernetes, and for creating CI/CD pipelines, so we use Jenkins part. So this
I
is.
understand that you use Jenkins, you use Kubernetes. I'm saying what kind of work, what kind of requirement comes in that you translate into that. Can you set up a Jenkins pipeline? I mean, can you set up a Jenkins, run it, and do an automation out of it?
Hmm. So if I talk about CI/CD pipeline, so the version which we are
Mhm.
using in our company is 2.2.3, and so if we want to do the automation, like whenever a developer pushes a code, so that goes into a pipeline for the testing and production. So for that, we can use shell scripting and to basically create the automation. We can use build triggers, and we use poll scm or cron expressions. And apart from that, if it is based on docker, so write a docker script, otherwise shell script, or create a jenkins file. So that depends upon the project and the requirements which are provided by the client.
So what is your current project?
So there are various kind of projects. So since I am
Take
into.
one of the project. Yeah, go start with any one project.
So one of the project, so that was a Java project made USA. So so whatever the developers are pushing the code on the daily basis. So we have already created the CI/CD pipeline. So on the daily
When
basis.
you say we have created, is it you have created the CI/CD pipeline?
No. Both the team is responsible for every task. And if I talk about
So what was your task on that creating CI/CD pipeline?
so my task was to be a part to create that CI/CD pipeline using that scripting, etc. And that way we had created. So whenever developers are pushing their code, so that.
No, you're not understanding. So I understand what team is doing, what others are doing. I want to listen to your part specifically. Take your time on what you are doing on the CI/CD pipeline. So you do, I call that do scripting.
Mhm.
What kind of scripting? What was the task that what were you scripting? I need to know that. I don't want to listen about the teams. I want to listen about you.
Okay,
What you
so in the starting, so if I talk about the project, so initially we had the client had asked us to create the Jenkins environment. So what I did, I discussed with my team,
do?
and created the EC2 instance according to the requirement, and after that installed Jenkins according to their documentation, created credentials, and apart from that, so and created that complete portal, and apart from that, configured all the here and there's like mailing services and notes, etc, uh, according to our requirement. And apart from that, in case of shell scripting, so my that task was a whole team was responsible for that. So my task was also to create some stages in that script. So and after the creation, so after that, every day, the whenever a developer is pushing any code, so that goes into the pipeline for the testing, etc. And if it is successful, it goes into prod. And if that is failing, so we get a mail or any error log, and we get in touch with our the developers. So this is about the particular project. So in that
Okay.
so in that way it goes.
So this was one project. So and what was the other project that you did?
So in other projects, so like there is one very complex app. So they asked me to install the Kubernetes on the appropriate EC2 instance, and my task is to create EC2 instance, and the clustering part and all the deployments are done by the senior engineers. And and apart from that, we have several other projects. So some of them requires containerization using Docker as per client requirement, and some of them are there which do not require DevOps. So this is the overall scenario.
Okay, so if I understood your profile, you are basically a AWS guy who usually works on creating the instances, the infrastructure of that any application that the company
And
needs.
apart from that, a little bit 15 to 20% is also include DevOps part.
Okay, and 10 to 20% in the DevOps, wherein you are needed to work on the Jenkins and the other
Yes.
related tools, right?
Hmm.
So where does Terraform come into picture? Like where have you used this Terraform?
So Terraform is an infrastructure configuration tool. So what happens is if we want to create any infrastructure and that goes down, and if we want to save our time, so what we do, we create a Terraform state files and do all the configurations and
Mm-hmm.
save those files. So basically it is the infrastructure as a code tool. So what we do is so if we when we start Terraform, so we write a Terraform init command, and after that all the
Mm-hmm.
configurations which are to be done, and they have a very good documentation. We provide a resource, etc. EC and the EC2 ID. So in that way we do
Mm-hmm.
the coding, and after that we use Terraform deploy. And if we want to destroy that infrastructure, because due to COVID-19 some of the projects
Mm-hmm.
have rolled out, so one was using Terraform, so simply we did Terraform destroy. And
Mm-hmm.
so basically that is the infrastructure manage configuration tool. And another one is cloud formation, so we are not using that.
We are not using CloudFormation.
Hmm.
Okay.
Terraform is
So how good you are with Terraform? I mean, if you have to rate yourself out of 10, how would you rate yourself?
around 6 to 7, between
Around
6 to 7, because we had only 2 to
uh,
3 projects which required Terraform, because the client was very adamant about the disaster recovery, so we had to create
mhm.
the infrastructure uh, in Terraform for the backup. So that was the
So when you create those Jenkins pipelines, CI/CD pipelines, that Jenkins, how does the deployment work? I mean, how do you deploy those Jenkins? Let's say there is some jobs that are need to be scheduled on a Kubernetes cluster from the Jenkins, and the they're pushing the code from the Git. So how does your pipeline works? I mean, can you go in detail about your pipeline? What is the kind of pipeline that you have worked and created?
So the general scenario is that whenever a developer is pushing any code, so they push into the we have a Git repository, so they put into the Git repository, and after that we pull from Git repository, and whatever the requirements are according to that the automation works. And uh, if that is to be pushed into the Kubernetes, so we use the Docker scripts in the Jenkins and create an image, and that image is pulled into the Kubernetes. So in that way,
So who
that way.
creates that Docker image? You create that Docker image?
Yes, I also create, and basically the whole team is required to
That's
do.
fine. I mean, what part of that work you do? I mean, while creating that Docker script.
So Docker script. So whatever the so first of all we create that Docker images, etc., and combine it with the Jenkins, and we do, and I do Docker scripting, and if there are any errors or I am unable to do, I discuss with my team.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
So basically the any task that will be coming, so I am so we are as a junior engineers. First of all, we will check all the requirements and try to create and sort out all those problems. Otherwise, if we have any problems, so we go to the seniors. So in that way, that works.
Okay. Okay. Mhm. And how good do you think you are on the AWS side?
Around 7 to 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, have you been using the Lambda, AWS Lambda?
Yes, I have used it several times.
So, what is the kind of work you do via AWS Lambda in your project?
So basically, it was an internal kind of thing. So we had some server crashes in our internal operations. So we had used four types of services. One was IAM, one was S3, one was Lambda, and other one was DynamoDB, and created a role in IAM. And basically, all the important data of the developers, whenever it was push to S3. So a function was triggered in Lambda, and we used to get logs in our DynamoDB. And apart from that, if I talk about DynamoDB, so that I have used along with the data SQS in one project. So Lambda is basically used for the serverless computing, and apart from that, to trigger any functions. And if we want to start and stop those EC2 instances, so there was one project which required so some of the EC2 instances to be stopped at the night time because the traffic was hits were less in night. So create JSON file, JSON script, and attach that CloudWord and attach that with Lambda functions.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So in that way, Lambda I have used.
Okay. Hmm. It says that you also know Azure. So, like, did you
Azure,
learn and
Azure, I know a little bit because in my company the .NET team is also there. So Azure and .NET are both Microsoft products. So my task is
Mhm.
to migrate databases in Azure, and sometimes the virtualization and cloud is required by them. We don't want to use for the testing purpose before deploying on our internal servers. So we, if we want to test anything, so that is completely dedicated to .NET team. So if I talk about the databases, so we have a dedicated option to migrate database to Azure directly. So one is
Mhm.
to migrate data bases, which are important because in the last year, month of July, we had our company has faced a virus attack. So whatever
Mhm.
the important data is, so that is moved to the cloud. And the similar purpose was that earlier I had told you using Lambda, so to protect our data. And apart from that, if we are using want to use any service which is more inclined to Windows, like IIS, hosting a website in IIS, so for that we can
Mhm.
use Azure. So Azure part is very less as compared to AWS and DevOps.
Okay. So you've been part of this company for how long?
Two,
KMG IT Services.
2.5 years, and soon after I joined, 3 to 4 months, the cloud part came into picture. So,
Oh,
hmm.
okay.
but
So this,
and
mhm.
and the reason for the change is that not all projects are using that DevOps part. So DevOps part is not into that in much depth.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, that's fine. Okay. And where are you currently located? In, I mean, where are you living?
I live in Dwarka and work in Udyog Vihar, Gurgaon, Sector 18.
Okay, you live in Dwarka. So, are you living at your own place or is it like rented place?
It is my father's house, my own.
Okay, okay, you're living at your own house.
Mhm.
Okay, right. The reason I'm asking because, okay, I'll brief you what we are and what we are doing, and the reason we are hiring. So we, as a company, Global Experts, we are a premier partner with Cisco. We have a premier partner with Oracle
Hmm.
and Arista. So we've been focused heavily on the networking side for almost a decade.
Hmm.
With the eventuality of this cloud coming in, we have devised a strategy wherein, because most of the clients are looking to get rid of their own data centers and
Yes,
probably
yes,
migrate it to public cloud, and
yes.
or maybe some want to modernize their own data center into as a private cloud something, or maybe private or public, mixed of both.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of requirements coming in from our clients, existing clients. We
Hmm.
have a pool of around more than 200-250 clients, and we get a lot of requests based on that. So uh, we as in Global Expert work in partnership with Presidio. Both are US based company. Global Experts is headquartered in Raleigh, and Presidio in Richardson.
Hmm.
So um, they have a partnership. We take care of their networking unit. Like earlier, we were taking care of the networking unit. That unit is still going on, but this with this new requirement, the DevOps team, we have been asked to set up a new team,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So we have a team that sits in Gurgaon, in Udyog Vihar itself. That's
Oh.
a Global Experts office. We have an office in Chennai, and the other offices are located elsewhere in the part of the world, like in Sydney and Abu Dhabi and US itself. So we are looking for people who, I mean, we are building a team. At
Hmm.
this point, we are building a team. So I'm currently we are hiring for all the positions,
Hmm.
starting from the architect to the lead position, and then the L2, L1 level guys as well,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So we are trying to build up a team of around currently out of around 15 engineers, and then we'll grow it up to around 40. That, I mean, as per the requirement, we will need such kind of workforce to, I mean, catch up with the work that we are getting. So, and as I said, since we have multiple clients, so there are multiple technologies. So if you are a person who wants to learn, grow
Hmm.
into an organization, learn different technologies, become an architect, so this is a good platform, because you will get all kind of work, because all kind of technologies you will get exposure to.
Hmm.
Reason being, there are multiple clients, and all those clients might be using something different from the other.
Hmm. Yes, yes.
That usually happens,
Hmm.
right? Not everyone uses the same thing. Some have legacy, some have new, some want ultra modern, state
Hmm.
of the art.
Hmm.
So that depends. Some uses Azure, some uses AWS. So I mean, it's a mix and mixture of everything. So we are trying to hire a person who's okay, who's willing to learn, because there will be a good learning curve for that guy. It would be good for his own personal growth, and for our as a company aspects as well. We want people who are motivated and learning for their own growth, because I mean, if our company has to succeed, it employees has to
Hmm.
succeed
Yes, yes.
first, right?
Definitely.
So basically, that's the approach. We have been following this approach in our networking division for a very long time, and it has been very successful.
Yes, yes.
That's the kind of approach that we have again here.
Hmm.
This work might require some level of travel. We will be, I mean, within a year, we do promote for the visas as well. It usually depends on the customer requirements.
Hmm.
This is not something that you have to go or you don't have to go. It is something that comes with a visa requirement. Like a company wants the few engineers who can be who should be working from on site for a
Hmm.
certain project. Let's say a project is for 6 months or a year. So in that case, we do send our engineers for the on site job. So and this all happens because of the customer relationship. So let's say one of the clients you've been working, out of those pool of clients, you work with one of the clients more often, and you get more exposure towards that technology. You give some value adds to that company. Okay, there is a CI/CD pipeline, you see something is broken, and
Hmm.
nobody is caring about it. You highlight it, you create a document out of it and send it to the client.
Hmm.
I mean, not directly, but after reviewing with your team and everyone, and then it goes via official process. So
Hmm.
Customer agrees with it. He sees that there is enthusiasm. The customer understands that the engineers are well versed of the technology and they want you, something like that,
Yes, yes.
right? So that usually happens, and that's how we are. So currently we are building at all level of stages. We are trying to hire across all levels, starting from L1, L2, L3, and architect level, whatever we get first. So this is the kind of work we have, the vision we have. The office will be located in Noida. The reason I ask is because, uh, I mean, from the Dwarka to Udyog Vihar is like next to each other,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Or very very near to each other.
Yes.
So, but if you travel from the Dwarka to Noida, it would be across like three states.
Hmm.
Alright, so I mean, Noida is one end and Dwarka is at the other end.
Hmm.
So, though at this point we don't have, I mean, we are not opening offices as of now. We're waiting for the COVID to uh, uh, finish up, and then probably in the future we will open the offices to have everyone sitting at the one place. It's not we are not very stringent. Work from home policy does apply during the normal days as well, because I mean Corona has come last year, but we've been working from home for a long time, and it's just because you are sincere enough and company understands that you are sincere enough to work from home and work from office. It's almost like same for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how it would be taken up. All I can say is you will get good exposure uh, to the technology.
Hmm.
It will be on you to learn, to explore yourself in the new technology and learn as much as you can.
Hmm.
You
Yes, yes.
invest some good time and you will see exponential results within the company itself. Because if someone is investing in you to learn new technologies, then obviously the company has something for you that will help you grow into your career, right? Money and everything will come always, will be a part of that growth, and
Hmm.
we won't be getting disappointed about that. There is a good history of that, and people who stay never get disappointed on the package later.
Hmm.
So, but yes, you have to stay with the company, stay loyal. I've seen people switching in 6 months. They go for a hike of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, whatever lakh of salary hike. And at the end of the curve, if you see the guy who stayed long with the one company and the one who switched like four companies, he might be having a slightly better package, but the quality of work that you are doing and what he will be doing is will be very different,
Hmm.
right?
Yes, yes.
So the curve and all and the package also you will find at the end of the curve you have almost beaten up that package.
Hmm.
The
Yes.
reason being at the a young career of your life you might be tempted with the money, but eventually what matters is like how much you know, what technology you know, and how much in depth you know it.
Hmm.
Anyway, that being said, I'm good with this part of the interview. I have few more questions regarding Jenkins, because I'm like very much focused on the CI/CD part for your profile.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
would not say for the like for the exact job description, but I mean, if I have to take you, I have one reason. I want someone. Currently I have hired a lot of people on the background, right, for different technologies, because this is the inception of the project, and trying to take all the flavors of technologies. Like if someone is really good at architect level of technology in the Azure, I'll take that guy. If someone is really good at AWS, I'll take one that guy.
Hmm.
If someone is good at the programming skills, I will take that guy. Maybe he can be weak in other side, but that's fine. Uh, in your profile, I do see that you have worked on AWS and CI/CD. I want someone at your profile level to have worked on the CI/CD.
Hmm.
So if uh, if you have to set up this CI/CD pipeline of your own, is it something that you can do it? You have done it.
Hmm. Yes.
starting from scratch. I'm talking about starting from the Git to its securities to its credentials and Jenkins, the infrastructure,
Hmm.
maybe on AWS,
Yes, yes.
and then creating a deployment out of it.
Hmm.
Like someone pushes the code, you give the entire built up pipeline to developers. They push up the code. They from their own PC, that goes to Git, it goes to Jenkins, gets it tested, and the deployment happens. Is this something that you're good at?
Yes. Not good. I am average in that part.
When you say average, like I understand you don't have much
Bec-
of
because
experience, but
if
when you start.
suppose if the project is very much complex, so in
Mm-hmm,
that scenario I require help sometimes from the seniors, because the a lot of complex scripting comes into picture. But
mm-hmm,
otherwise, if I so I had also written the Docker script, so
mm-hmm.
that worked fine, because
Okay.
because there are
And
some.
how complicated that Docker script was?
So that was not very much complicated. I had already pulled the images from the Docker and attached
Mm-hmm,
that to the Jenkins, and basically those were general Docker commands. But sometimes
mm-hmm,
what happens is there are the script will go very long, because in like I have told you, I was my task is to install Kubernetes in my current role.
mm-hmm,
So once I was a part of that complex process in which Kubernetes was involved in very in depth.
mm-hmm.
So that project was done successfully, but I had worked with the developers and my own
So
team also.
who usually creates these Jenkins script in your company?
So I am the first person to look after all these things, and if there are any
Mm-hmm,
glitches, and I will try my best to uh, like remove
mm-hmm.
those roadblocks. So whenever we build any project in Jenkins, so it gives a lot of logs, and if it is successful, then it is fine, and if it fails, so it gives a log while running, error logs.
Okay,
So in that way, that is
okay.
fixed, and
So
sometimes.
oh,
And
okay,
sometimes
okay.
the CI/CD pipeline is failing in between, like at the testing stage or prod stage.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
uh, in that way we fix. And apart from that, we have created a mailing service. So whenever there is any failure, so we get mails for that. Otherwise, we in office hours we generally monitor it very closely.
Okay. So when you've also written Prometheus, Grafana, and Splunk. Is it something that you have worked set up, or what you did with it?
So I have set up Splunk for our domestic client, and Prometheus and
Mm-hmm,
Grafana are set up and handed over to the client. So in Prometheus and Grafana are basically the monitoring tools, so in which we
mm-hmm,
run the queries and we get the desired
mm-hmm.
result. And apart from that, we get the graph-based monitoring. And apart from that, if
So
I
I'm asking, did you set it up or you used it? So I mean, you have an implementation level of knowledge of it, or the usage level. Like if you're logging and you're monitoring, so this is you have used it or you have implemented it.
so implemented it and did the basic monitoring for the client for 15 to 20 days, because the domestic client had asked
Okay.
me to implement that and do the testing, and then after all the bugs are clear, then hand over it to them. So we have, if I talk about domestic clients, so we have Eli Lilly, Hughes, so all the
Mm-hmm.
insurance and healthcare companies. So those are
Okay.
located in Gurgaon and Manesar side.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
I talk
So with
about Nagios,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm,
both setup and that addition of those servers into the Nagios. And if I talk about Splunk, I have implemented, and
mm-hmm.
because that creates a lot of logs. So I didn't understand the logs, but the data ingestion from indexer to forwarder was successful.
Okay.
And
Okay.
in if I talk about Jira, so I had attended one training in Jira. So that is offered by an Australian company, not known as Atlassian. So that is used in
Mm-hmm.
project management. And CloudWatch I had attached in one project in which EC2 instances were supposed to be down at the night time. And apart from that, if we want to very good like monitoring, so once I had to pay for the CloudWatch to do 1 minute monitoring. Otherwise, by default, it is monitoring for 5 minutes in frequency.
Okay. Okay. So last couple of questions, Ritik. Let's say you are troubleshooting some issue which you have faced in a company, and you are not able to resolve that issue. Let's say someone says the pipeline is broken,
Oh.
and you are asked to fix it. How would you do that?
So first of all, the all the vendors who like DevOps tools, so they have a very good documentation. So just first step is to refer to their documentation, and second is the error which is throwing, so that is giving an error log. So 90% of the errors I have fixed till now is that I just take the error code and simply Google it. 90% of the errors are fixed in that way, because 2 years back, around 1.5 years back, I was implementing Nagios. So the portal was not coming up, so there was an issue with the net. So I had configured, so did away that error using this. Apart from that, I have some Telegram groups. So we are in it has around 200 members. So whatever their challenges they are facing in their company, they write and get solutions from there. Apart from that, we have a community known as Stack Overflow. So there we can uh, ask our questions. And apart from that, we have a team in our company, and I have a very good circle in LinkedIn also.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
these
So
are
just in case,
6 to 7 steps, and we get 99.99% solutions we get from these. So face
yeah.
that issue
So
when
let's say.
I was implementing Splunk, so my data was not getting ingested. There was some port problem from indexer and forwarder. So I had followed these kind of steps, and ultimately it was fixed.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand. So let's say you're not able to resolve an issue, and you tried all your means, and you're on a call with customer. Uh, what would you do? I mean, you're working on an issue for, let's say, 1 hour now, and or 2 hours now. You have pinged on the groups that you are part of, and they have suggested some action plans, but the issue has not resolved. You have posted on the Stack Overflow as well, and still waiting for a reply maybe.
Mhm.
And the customer is like on a call with you, and he wants the issue to be urgently resolved. So what would you do?
So in that case, my first task will be to get in touch with our senior, because might be they have faced a similar kind of scenario in the past. And
Hmm.
next troubleshooting
You
steps
have
will
not
be
faced it.
to
I
persuade
didn't hear that.
to
You
pers-
did not face it, or you have faced it.
No, I am saying that I will get in touch with my seniors. So they might have faced similar kind of scenario in the past.
Okay,
And apart
okay.
from
You will consult your seniors,
because
and
if
let's say,
any delay
yeah.
is being done, so it is highly recommended to uh, tell your manager, so that they can handle the clients. And apart from that, try to persuade to the client that we are some technology failures. So that's why it is taking time. So sometimes it happens with the developers in my company. So sometimes
Mhm.
client scolds us. So
Okay, so let's say you don't get anyone at hand. I mean, you have tried your ways. You're on a call with customer. Seniors are also not replying to you. They're working from home, and nobody is replying to you. So, how would you handle that situation?
So I will ask the customer to like so there are some core technical glitch, so that might take some time to fix
Mm-hmm.
because
So what? Mm-hmm.
I have faced this kind of issue before, but not at this level. Like I am alone and nobody is replying. Everybody replies in my company because there is no a single person. Basically, 5 to 6 people team. So that has not been the case for the last 4.5 years as
So
of now.
let's say you, I mean, everything is hyper. I mean, you are just trying to understand. We are just trying to understand, like, if you are put into that situation. Let's say if it happens, how I am the customer and you're on a call with me. You're not able to resolve that issue
Hmm.
for a long time. You have taken help in the background and everything, and um, I'm like I want this application to be fixed. There is a work that is going on. I'm losing my man hours, so I'm on a call with you. I want you to fix that issue. You are one of the senior engineers, or maybe the one who is working on it, and you're not getting anyone. So what would you say to me? How would you pacify me that I give you some more time, or what would you be talking to me?
I will ask you to give some more time because uh, if I am trying to fix any issue,
Your voice is breaking up. Your voice is breaking up.
so if I am trying to fix any issue and if it is not getting resolved, so I will ask for to basically increase the SLA by the customer. So
I'm not able to hear you. Your voice is breaking up.
1 minute.
Uh,
Okay, now it is fine.
yeah, better. So yeah, what do you say?
So I will try to persuade to the customer that we are facing some core level technical issue and some time is required to fix that issue.
Uh-huh. So, and I would say, okay, then that means something serious. Why don't you resolve it now? How much time do you need?
So I will tell him that
Call.
we are trying our best to resolve. So that's something
Uh-huh.
big, and in that way.
Okay. Okay, fine. Um, okay. Last question. Ritik, sir, have you in your career have you messed up any environment? Like, what is your biggest mistake that you did while working, and
So
how
the
did you
biggest
change it?
mistake was like I have told you. Uh, I am also the part of an infrastructure in this company. So
Mm-hmm.
my team leader had created a firewall
Mm-hmm.
uh, in the basically the CPU, and I was unaware of that. So I hooked up the LAN cable in the company, and so that started throwing the IP of 192 series, and in our company we use
Mm-hmm.
122 series. So the IP conflict was done, and the whole of the ground floor was down due to IP conflict. Basically, he didn't tell me that he had done the firewall configuration in that.
That's fine. That's his mistake. Then that this question would be for him, that what he did wrong, because he should have told you. No, I'm asking, like, what mistake you did. This was not your mistake.
Oh,
Anyone would have done that.
so this is the mistake I have done in my career, and apart from that, there were some communication gaps. It's happened several times. So there were some communication
Mhm.
gaps. So due to that, there were some problems, and so
What kind of communication?
so, like I got a call from any user or any client, and he asked me to do
Mm-hmm.
something, and I didn't understand and did something else. So that wasted the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and apart from that,
So,
if I talk about AWS, so sometimes the wrong EC2 instances are created as per the requirement
mm-hmm.
because the client who has given us the requirement uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we did all the feasibility checks and created, and later on it didn't work. So because this thing had happened in while I was doing Splunk.
Mm-hmm.
Initially it was to be deployed in RHEL, but that failed due to there were some package issue. So after that we tried on the CentOS, and after that it was.
Okay.
Hmm.
Right. Okay. Okay, Ritvik, then I'm good with this part of the interview. Right. I'll be sharing my feedback to the team, and they will be further reviewing, and we'll continue with one more round. That would be uh, a technical round with the client. So in this case, in this project, the client is approving for the resources. So there is a round that will be scheduled with our US counterparts
Okay.
that sit in, right? So there will be another round. So one feedback that I would like to give if that round happens, I'll be sharing my feedback. So I don't know if they clear you with the findings, but yes, I mean if there is a good chance, then I think you have the right kind of skills that we need from our engineers who has your level of experience
Mm.
and. I'm good on the technical part. I would say you have to work a little bit on your communication skills.
Okay.
Uh, right. Try to answer those questions that you get in an interview, and try to record yourself, and imagine that you someone has asked those questions and how would you say that, and take your time and talk to someone who is good at communication, you think
Mm.
that who's good at, or who can help you to better express yourself. So
Mm.
I understand you know things, you understand the things, it's just the expression. If someone has asked you what is the right kind of terminology, words, expression,
Mm.
and you have to use to express those as an answer.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's one good feedback. Otherwise, I think I'm good with your profile. I don't find any other issues. You have good technical experience, and the one that I need, so should not be a problem. The only concern is that uh, I mean the communication part, because it's a US based client, and there would be other clients who are from US based, so they pay very good attention to the communication, because they want the as you said, there were communications gaps, so they won't want that situation to happen, or we try to actively avoid those situations where there is a communication gap. We try to over communicate at times rather than less communicate,
Mm. Yes.
and have that kind of understanding as well in terms of language,
Okay.
in the written and the spoken one. Okay. All right, Ritvik, so thank you very much talking
Mm.
to me. It was good 45 minutes.
Yes.
Uh, I will share the feedback to the HR and to the team, and someone should get back to you shortly. You said 1.5 months of notice period. Is it something that you are already on a notice or something, or you will negotiate it to 1.5 months?
Negotiate to 1.5.
And this is like certain, or I mean, there could be chance that it may take up to 2 months.
So basically, that will range around 1.5 months.
Okay, okay,
Mm.
fine. Thank you very much, Ritik. It was nice talking to you. Have a
Okay.
good day.
Thank you.